So, when you're talking about the, hold on.
Okay.
Pause.
Look at us. This is hilarious. All right.
So when you're talking about what's occurring during ambulation, when you take a step forward, the pelvis is going to rotate forward. Okay, so I've got forward rotation of the pelvis. Okay, as my foot steps forward. When I rotate my pelvis forward, my lead leg is going to externally rotate so that I can continue to walk straight. So as I de-weight my leg and I rotate my pelvis, you see how my foot rotates in, right? Because that's what's happening to my pelvis. I externally rotate it naturally. I externally rotate it so that I can take a step forward. At the same token, when I'm standing on my leg and I rotate my pelvis forward, my back leg or my leg that I'm standing on internally rotates. It's being internally rotated because my pelvis externally rotates. My pelvis rotates. You see that?
So when you're stepping,
So
your
when I step forward with this leg, as I rotate my pelvis forward, see how look at what's happening in this leg. It's internal rotated, right? Because my pelvis moves, my foot doesn't, so that the position of my foot is internal rotation. And then my lead leg externally rotates so I can take a step. At the same time, as my pelvis rotates, my trunk is going to rotate in the opposite direction. So if I step forward with my right leg, I pelvic rotate to the right, and my trunk is going to rotate to the right, opposite direction. Pelvis rotates this way, trunk rotates in the opposite direction, so that my shoulders are going to face forward. Okay? When I step backwards, the exact opposite is going to occur. I step backwards, as my pelvis rotates back, automatically you see what happens in this joint. External rotation, right? So my leg that I'm stepping back with is going to internally rotate so I can take a step back because my pelvis is now rotated. External rotation, internal rotation, and my trunk is going to go in the opposite direction. If my pelvis goes that way, my trunk has to go this way so that when I step back I don't do this. I need to adjust by rotating my trunk or my back. When I'm standing and I go from weight bearing to non-weight bearing, I get a lateral tilt. A drop in the pelvis on the non-weight bearing side. Slight drop. So by dropping my pelvis, this hip goes into a deduction, right? And this hip, I don't push it out, but it abducts because gravity is going to keep it facing down, but my hip goes in. So if I keep it in this position and I level my hips off, my knees are apart, right? So I'm abducted here. This hip is an abduction. This hip is an adduction because my pelvis is laterally tilted. And my trunk is tilted in the opposite direction. So I keep myself upright. So I get a curve, a lateral bend in my spine to keep my head up. If not, if I kept it straight, I'd be tilted sideways. So to compensate, I curve in the opposite direction. Okay? Makes sense, I think.